Hello and welcome to my video on my channel Career Tech Explorer. My name is Max Oluwapemen. Today I want us to discuss how to test hypotheses using T-Tests in Rstudio. Right, if today is the first time that you have encountered my channel or my content, I want to plead with you to please subscribe to this channel so that anytime I drop content you will be the first to be informed. If you find the content of this video useful, share with your friends, your well-wishers, and anybody you know will benefit from it, and I'll be very glad that you did. So there are steps that are involved in hypothesis testing in Rstudio. There are 4 of them. The first is you need to create a continuous variable that you need to test. That means that, for instance, if you are dealing with student scores, or you are dealing with the impact of a particular drug, or you are checking the effect of a particular phenomenon, and so on and so forth. So you want to ensure that the continuous variable for that phenomenon you have tested is created in Rstudio. Next, you will need to ensure that you have a grouping variable, maybe 1, 2, and so on and so forth, depending on the type of T-test that you are working on. And today we are looking at independent sample T-test. Next, you need to perform the T-test analysis itself. And finally, you need to create a results table to show the key statistics for the analysis that you have carried out. Now, let us jump right into R so that we can demonstrate these 4 steps. Okay, so as we mentioned, the first step that you need to do is to create a continuous variable for the phenomenon or the variable you want to test. Now, in this example, I want to create a variable called mean curve. So this is referring to the mean response of respondents on a particular phenomenon referred to as composition. So I'm going to, let me say we are going to create a variable for it inside the data ACC data, right? So in R, if you have a data set and you want to create a new column, just as we have mentioned in the previous videos, you need to introduce the $sign. So after introducing the $sign, you now type in the name for that variable that you want to introduce in the data set. Now note that you are not allowed to use spaces between words in variable names, just as you would be doing that for vector names. Right, so I'm interested in calculating the mean of this variable. So I use the function row means. You bring in the data, square brackets, comma, C function, and the variable names within the data set that are related to the particular phenomenon you are interested in this case, composition. So, and there are 3 columns: section 214, section 219, and section 221. Make sure that you remove all missing values by including the method na.rm equal to, and then you tell it that it is true, meaning that you should remove any form of missing data that may fall in there. So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing, you need to ensure, now let's go back to the data itself. We'll go back to the data which have been created. You will notice that there exists a grouping variable, which is this particular column. It says status in last accreditation, and the column we created for this is out of the screen. It's out of our screen. We can't view it. If we want to be sure that it exists, we simply can just print the column names by using the column name function. So when we use column name function, we can just view the columns that exist in this particular data set. When we run that, you can see over here that there is a column named mean comp. Alright, so bear that in mind. Now, having done that, I will just go ahead and do this now because it's not needed. Then we need to perform the t-test itself. So to perform the t-test, I like to call it t-test result for hypothesis 3 because this is a study that we are carrying out, and there are several hypotheses. This happens to be hypothesis number 3, as you can see right over here. So to perform t-test, what do you need to do? You use the t-test function t.test. That's the t-test function, and you bring in the continuous variable, which is mean comp. That's the one we created here. Then you use tilde sign. In my own computer, it is right on the same key as the hash key. So you press shift hash, then it brings up your tilde. Then this is the grouping variable, the one I mentioned I showed you in the data set, which is status in last accreditation. For context sake, if you go back there, you will see quickly that status in last accreditation, there are what we call team leaders, and you also have team members. So there are just two categories in the group. Then you have to introduce the data after you have a comma. Data equal to ACC data, which is the data we're dealing with. When you run this, the analysis gets to be performed, right? And to run the analysis, you just put your cursor anywhere within the line of code and you point and run. After doing that, we need to find out, or let's say we need to calculate the mean of team leaders, because we're interested in means, standard deviation, t-statistic, and p-value. So first, we need to calculate the mean of team leaders, the mean of team members, standard deviation for team leaders, and standard deviation for team members. And the way to do that, as you can see on your screen, is to use the function mean. Then you bring in the data set, and then you target the column mean composition. And then that should factor in where the accreditation data, that's ACC data, for the column status in last accreditation, where that is the same as team leader. Alright, and also instruct it to do the same values. That's the same thing you do for team members, and the difference between team leader and team member is the fact that you are now saying that where status in last accreditation is equal to team member, right? So for standard deviation, do the same thing, only that now you introduce the SD function, which is for standard deviation. The same data, accreditation data, where for the column mean composition, where the accreditation data, in the accreditation data, the status in last accreditation is team leader and team member respectively. Alright, so when you run this, you simply have prepared your means and standard deviation for the two groups that we have. Then we now go ahead at this point now to prepare the table of the analysis. And so that we call it t-test table hypothesis 3. So you using the data frame function, data.frame. Then you have group. Under the group, you have two columns. Under the column group, you have two rows, where the first one is team leader, the second is team member, and then the next column will be mean. You have the mean for team leaders, which is what we calculated here, as well as the mean for team members, which is also what we calculated over here. Then you have the next column, which you can title it SD or you call it standard deviation. There you have standard deviation for team leaders, standard deviation for team members. Then you call another column titled T statistic. There you tell the program that you should bring T from the T-test result hypothesis 3, that is the column label statistic. All of these must be separated with a comma, and then the p-value column you should bring in where the T-test result for hypothesis 3, which is what here, where the column says p-value. When you assemble all these three things, you will have this table. Alright, so you have this table. See that? Put the standard deviation. Now, do not mind the fact that you are having T statistics repeating itself, but you are supposed to have just a single column, a single row under this, where we merge these two rows into one, meaning that you have only one row. Now, for the interpretation of the results page, we pay attention to the p-value that we have. For this particular experiment, the p-value, the hypothesis to be tested against a p-value of 0.05. So, in this case, we obtained a p-value of 0.02, which is less than p-value that was set, which is 0.05. This means that the null hypothesis that says there is no significant difference is to be rejected, meaning that there is a significant statistical difference between the two groups. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. If you got some value, please do not hesitate to share this video with your friends and your classmates and your colleagues who may be involved in one research form or the other. I have a lot of more video coming in Hanover, witness test, and all forms of tests. So if there's any test you want me to demonstrate how we can carry out analysis of it, please leave that for me in the comment section, and I will do a video to address that particular issue that you may have. Subscribe to this channel to support me, and see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.